Hey guys, Kate Kennedy here with another layout using the June Hip Kit Club main kit and add-ons. So for this layout, I wanted to focus on the pretty blues and wood grains that are in this collection. So I pulled out these beach photos from last summer to try to do that. And I also pulled out this chipboard frame that was left over from the April kit. It's the Maggie Holmes chipboard. And I really like this paper by Echo Park because it has these little view finders on it, but it also has a wood grain background. So I'm going to go through a couple of different options. I'm going to keep that Dear Lizzie blue paper as the background for a little while, and then I'm going to decide to switch it up. So I'm just going through and cutting out some of the LE Studio cut apart paper because I like these sayings that say sunshine documented in the best part of summer. And I've already used that paper for our LE Studio blog hop, which is happening next week. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And I'm going to cut a couple pennants out of this wood grain LE Studio paper, which is such a pretty color wood grain. And it's kind of an orangey tone, which picks up on the orange in that die cut card. And I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate some more colors, but then I decide that I really don't want to incorporate more colors. I just want to stick to the blues and the aquas. So as you can see, my process is kind of to just rifle through all the papers until I find something that works. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer than others. And my favorite paper has to be this LE Studio Shine paper with all of the words on the background. I really love it. I've already used a whole sheet as a background for another layout, which you'll see next week. But I decided that I want to use it as part of the photo mat. So I'm going to cut down this Echo Park paper so that it doesn't cover the whole 12 inches across. And then I'm going to cut down a smaller mat out of that LE Studio paper. So I'm just marking with my pencil how big the Echo Park paper is so I can cut this one down. And I want to trim a little bit off the top so that the words are kind of cut in half like they are on the bottom. So that's why I did it the exact size of the Echo Park, because I know I could trim it down. So I'm liking how that's looking so far. And I like the frame on the one picture, and I love that sunshine documented card. So that's all going to stay the same. And I'm just kind of fiddling with the placement here. And I'm going to go ahead and put down this frame. And then I'm going to put that on some dimensional adhesive because I want that to stick up over the other photograph so I can add some layers. And I'm going to the beach next week for vacation, the same beach house. So I'm kind of nostalgic about last summer, so that's why I'm using all these photos. I want to get all these documented so that way when I have the new ones from this next week, I'll be able to work on those. So now I've switched to a white background, and I'm taking this piece of, it's just the branding strip off the bottom of one paper. I can't remember which one. I think it's a LE Studio one. And I just cut it in half, and I'm going to put part of it on the top and part of it on the bottom of this little cluster of layers of paper that I have here going on. And okay, so I skipped over this part, but I took the Broken China Distress paint and just created this background. And then I took some of the Heidi Swapp Color Shine from last month's kit, but I'm not going to use that background, so I didn't go through the whole process. I took this Capture Life sticker from the Echo Park sticker sheet, which I love, and I just cut a circle that was a little bit bigger out of the grid paper and put it on some pop dots to create like an embellishment. And now I'm just going through and getting some of the stickers from this Capture Life sticker sheet, which I love, and placing them around the layout. And I'm going to put that awesome there and end up moving it to another place. And I'm playing around with these October afternoon arrows, and I'm going to pick them up and put them down a couple of different times before I figure out where I want them to stay permanently. And I end up putting this love this photo sticker, excuse my head in the way, on well, you're going to see it's going to end up there. I just move it around a few times first. I'm adding a couple of enamel dots that were from leftover from one of the previous hip kits. I keep all my leftovers from all the kits in a box, and that way when I need something a little bit extra, I try to pull from there, so it's stuff that I know that people that are working with the kit could possibly have if they've been subscribed for a while. So from my stash, I'm taking a couple of different October afternoon sprinklers, which is, they're like Heidi Swapp Mist or Mr. Huey's, but they're much more opaque. They're more like paint. So if you wanted to create the same look, you could definitely use acrylic paint mixed with a little bit of water, and you'd get the same effect as I do here. Or you could use some watercolors also mixed with a white paint, and that would give you the same effect. So I do it a couple of times with the sprayer, end of the sprayer, and then I move to a rounded brush and do some big droplets because it just wasn't giving me enough color. And I felt like that white background was just too plain with this layout. So now that I have that done, I've also adhered 2 strips of that original Dear Lizzy paper that I was going to use as the background, the blue, to the top and the bottom, and then I moved that little awesome sticker and the wood grain pennant up to the top left and added a couple of enamel dots. And now I'm just going through and finding some embellishments. I really love that circle one that says "You Shine," so I decided to cover up that little camera with that. And now I'm just adding my title with these Dear Lizzy thickers. I love these, the circles, and they're the great blue color that matches so perfectly. And then I'm just going to add the words love, and then I'm going to add FL for Florida with the wood grain LE Studio. Now I'm taking the stamp from the stamp add-on, which is an LE Studio stamp, and I'm getting out my swatches of my ink colors to try to find one that matches, and I go with this Hero Arts chalk ink, and I'm trying to get the stamp behind that frame, but I've already stuck it down, so I just take it off the block and do it with my hand, and it works out perfectly. I'm using the little diagonal stripe stamp there. So I'm just going to add my journaling, and that finishes up this layout. So stay tuned for some close-ups, and make sure to check out the June Hip Kit and add-ons. It's a great kit, especially for summer pictures. Here's the layout and a few close-up shots. Thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to check out the Hip Kit Club. Talk to you later. Bye.